Hello everyone and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Monday, 22nd September 2025 and I'm Abdul Majid Awan.
And I'm Ward Ahmed and we've got a packed show for you today. First up, UAE billionaire Khalaf Al-Habtoor has hailed the four major Western nations that have recognized the Palestinian state. PwC has cut 60 partners and 1,500 staff in the Middle East following the clash with Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, says the Financial Times. And Elon Musk's xAI raises $10 billion with Middle Eastern backing, and the UAE has launched a campaign to become the startup capital of the world.
Very, very big stories. And the very first one obviously makes sense with Emirati billionaire Khalaf Al-Habtoor as he welcomed Canada, Australia, Portugal, and the UK as they formally recognized a Palestinian state. The unprecedented move signals growing global frustration with Israel's genocide in Gaza and marks a historic shift among major Western allies traditionally aligned with Israel.
Now, in a statement on X, Al-Habtoor highlighted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's massacres, starvation, and targeting doctors and journalists. He said these actions have backfired, isolating Israel and accelerating international support for Palestinian recognition with a surge of global momentum, putting Palestine's statehood back at the forefront of the international agenda.
And the announcements from Ottawa, Canberra, London, and Lisbon align four long-time Israeli allies with more than 140 nations already backing Palestinian statehood. Leaders framed the recognition as a step towards reviving a two-state solution and as part of broader efforts to address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said the recognition would revive hope for peace for the Palestinians and Israelis in a two-state solution. Now, the announcement comes as Gaza's death toll surpasses 65,000, according to Al Jazeera and Palestinian authorities, highlighting the urgency of addressing the current genocide that Gaza is undergoing.
And Al-Habtoor, founding chairman of Al-Habtoor Group, which manages luxury hotels including Waldorf Astoria, Dubai, Palm Jumeirah, said the wave of recognition reflects Palestine's growing international support. He added that the event marks a turning point, reinforcing that Netanyahu's policies are increasingly isolated on the global stage. And he himself called Israel Super Sparta because apparently he thinks he's alone in the world fighting the war and everyone is now going against him. I think he should self-reflect and see what he's done to get that.
I saw this video, by the way. I think it was a UN commissioner, and he was basically talking about how I believe it was that every single time that Israel is coming up with an excuse, they're using ChatGPT. Did you see that somewhere? He was like,
they've run out of ideas.
Like, he was saying like they're definitely using ChatGPT to come up with all of these responses and
new ideas.
And they just keep using the same excuses. But to be honest with you, I think that the reason why they're using the same excuses is because these same excuses keep passing through America.
Yeah.
I saw this report on Reuters, Majid, that the U.S. is actually planning a $6.4 billion weapon sale to Israel. Yes, once again. So I think, when I looked at what that...
From a trade perspective, US will be like, oh, they're giving us money and we're selling them weapons and we get money out of it. But again, there is some moral, ethical, not legal, legally it's allowed, but there should be some moral or ethical standards. They keep sending stuff and Israel keeps using stuff. And they know that it's now not only like Middle Eastern pressure or Muslim country pressure, it's a global pressure.
Yes, more than 140 countries in the world, a part of the UN, have recognized Palestinian statehood. But like on that topic of, why they may keep getting away with it or what it really is, I've noticed this trend, Majid, that some of the biggest companies that are headquartered in the US are in fact Israeli. Some of the co-founders who are behind OpenAI, the guy who's behind Anthropic, and like one of my most recent discoveries, I didn't look too much into it. It was at a hair brand called Moroccan Oil. You know, I'm serious. I was
And
so
it's called Moroccan oil, but
right. Really, it's really funny. It's ironic, but I was so surprised because I was like, this is like a hair brand that I remember like buying it. Like it felt like such a luxury. I
Yeah.
actually did not know that it was Israeli founded with Israeli roots, but what really stood out to me the most is the fact that the company, where is it headquartered? It's headquartered in New York. I think that's what it is. I think it's the fact that you have Israeli citizens who have done really well for themselves,
Yeah.
taken their businesses globally, and managed out of everywhere to choose America as a HQ. But like just on the topic of Khalaf al-Habtoor and why it's important to discuss it from his angle and why it's important that we have the support of such a billionaire, it's because of the fact that people follow the sentiment of such people. I think that he has a strong opinion and a very fair opinion, a really good opinion. Like, for example, I remember how I was telling you, Majid, how the Egyptian billionaire Naguib Suwaid, the richest man in Egypt, I remember that he published this X post where he basically he responded to this article that was written, and it was about a bunch of Sudanese people going back to Sudan, immigrating back to Sudan, although the situation still remains very dire. The starvation is very dire. And he was saying that Sudanese people are always welcome in Egypt. And when, the Sudanese civil war had started and a lot of Sudanese people have gone to Egypt, they did face a lot of issues there. They faced a lot of racism. There was even this like very big scandal about this Sudanese baby who was basically killed and thrown in a trash can. No, really, there were some very dire cases there. But from speaking to my families there, they have a really positive view. But when you have, people like that of such high status, who are aware of their status and the impact of their words, who come forward and say something, it's so important. Just as much as their money is valued, what they have to say is valued. It is.
yeah. And also September 21 is apparently International Day of Peace. And all this is happening when UN is celebrating International Day of Peace.
You think they did it by purpose? No,
No,
for sure.
it is universally, like it's been always the Day of Peace. And this year their theme was Act Now for a Peaceful World. So it's more funnier that Act Now, and it took like UN at least 1.5 years to recognize that all of this is happening. And I remember recently the UN Secretary General reporter asked him, he was most probably a Palestinian or Arab reporter, and he was like, why don't you call it a genocide? Just call it a genocide and we'll be fine with it. He's like, no, I will call it the worst humanitarian crisis. Actually, it was about history. He said history will remember that Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General, he saw a genocide happening at the helm of UN. And history will remember you like that. And he said, no, history will remember that we criticized it. We said it's the worst humanitarian crisis, worst famine, man-made famine. He said everything apart from the word genocide. And the reporter was like, I think I made my point clear. Call it a genocide if it is a genocide. And to be honest, to be fair to the UN Secretary General, he did call it everything bad. I think whatever he said is the definition of genocide. It's ethnic cleansing, it's killing people, it's trying to move people from their land. Everything that is being done is a genocide. So he didn't say it, but he indirectly said it. So yeah, this is happening in the world. The two-state solution now has more power to it because of European powers, these European big countries going and supporting a two-state solution, a Palestinian statehood. So let's see when it ends. October is coming like in 8 days, and October 7 is coming in 15 days. It'll be a 2-year anniversary of what has been going on, the atrocities.
But you know what, Majid? I think that with just like on the topic of like companies, much more than just releasing statements, especially for me as a consumer, I don't just want to hear statements anymore. I don't want to read statements of solidarity, of peace. I want action. Honestly, I
The
want
theme.
to see, no,
Act
seriously,
now, right?
No, I'm being serious. Like I want action, and I feel like we saw that with Lush. You know, Mark Constantine. You know, he came forward. One of the co-founders of Lush Cosmetics, a UK-based, he came forward and he said that children in Gaza are starving. We're gonna close down our stores for one day.
Yeah.
You know, we're about to lose 300,000 pounds, but it is worth it. And then even better, you have Majid Al Futim. You know, it's I think that it's close to many people's hearts in this region. They're behind, some of the biggest things, Mall of the Emirates, Vox Cinema. They're behind a lot of franchises. But the point here is to say that we saw how with Majid Al Futim they diversified from Carrefour. They're shutting down their Carrefour stores very slowly, and they started a new supermarket chain called Hypermax. First, it started in Jordan because that's where all the noise was, because Jordan, it is very close to Palestine, and then it kept moving up. It went to Oman, Sultanate Oman, and then where did it go to? I believe Bahrain. And in the latest move, Majid,
Kuwait.
I believe that they've shut all the Carrefour stores in Kuwait. So I think for me, it's that real action that we're really looking to see. Because I think in the end of the day, like no one wants to read nonsensical statements. Like do not give me a statement. Like you can talk as much as you want. I think like I want a bit of action here. I want a bit of hearing. I think like as my grandmother would always tell me, you know how we have like 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth? Like what's that telling you? You know, you want to hear more than you tell, and you want to do more. So I think that the actions that we've seen companies have taken, it's all the more inspiring. And they've done it quicker than all of these states, which I think is really inspiring.
Yeah. Let's move on, because if we keep going on around this topic, it has like a lot of history and a lot of, actually, to be honest, frustration also from our side where we can keep going on. But hopefully everything settles down and the solution, whatever solution is best for the Palestinian people comes out. But moving on to Saudi Arabia, PwC has cut around 60 partners and 1,500 staff in its Middle East operations after a year-long ban by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund blocked new advisory contracts. The move reflects the slowing growth of the Big Four accounting firm in the region.
Now, the cuts began in February, according to the Financial Times, targeting consulting roles tied to transformational projects. Now, PwC's Middle East business, previously a star performer with 26% growth, last year slowed to just 0.4% revenue growth in the year to June 2025 as Riyadh reprioritized spending and paused major consultancy contracts.
And Askara Shell DXB says, ouch, on this news. Very relevant, very relevant comment. But PwC's relationship with Saudi Arabia's PIF deteriorated after the firm sought to hire NEOM's chief internal audit officer and avoided audit work that conflicted with lucrative consulting contracts. The PIF ban forced PwC to rethink workforce planning and address a likely revenue shortfall.
Now, a leadership shakeup is also underway. Laura Hinton, PwC's UK managing partner, will join Hani Ashkar in leading the Middle East business from October. This is like every single consultant's dream. Now, she is expected to become sole senior partner after a year following earlier senior departures triggered by the PIF ban.
And despite the reductions, PwC's Middle East headcount remains stable due to ongoing hiring in high-demand areas and promotions, including 62 new partners in June. The firm continues to aim for growth in the region while rationalizing the workforce to adapt to the new market environment.
Oh man, this story here.
It keeps giving, right?
It literally, it keeps giving.
I remember the first time it happened, it was like one of the biggest stories in that month, numbers-wise for us as well. And then it kept going on, and it's still going on. It's still, FT, I think sometimes just they take a story and they milk it, and
maybe they have some former PwC employees who are better.
And it's still going on. I think we'll see the ban finish, 2026 Feb. After that, I don't know if they'll get a contract, even with the ban lifted. But whatever is happening, it's so interesting because when a big giant falls or when a big giant goes through a problem, everyone notices. And it shows you that there is something changing in the market.
It's almost like a domino effect,
Yeah.
especially for the other big four.
Yeah.
I think with this one, Majid, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, PwC is like a big giant, but like you're not bigger than PIF.
Yeah.
Because I just looked into it, and PwC's global revenue, this is their global revenue, it's not just for the Middle East, for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024, was $55.4 billion. That is PwC. We're talking about Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, chaired by the Saudi Crown Prince Salman,
Yeah.
which is worth over $1 trillion. That is no comparison. Like how do you even compare something like that? And I think for them, like I remember I was discussing this with my family, and they're like, they're asking me like, why did this happen? And I'm like, guys, like they tried to hire their internal audit chief officer, and everyone was asking like, what's so bad about that? Because we always see that employees jump from company to company and job hopping, they call it. But I think in this case, the reason why it was so harmful, and this is just me predicting, because like imagine you're like PIF, you're worth $1 trillion. You hire a company, you pay them a lot of money, you pay them very fairly. Consultants do get paid a lot, especially PwC. And then they try and hire your chief internal audit officer so for you to come and give them the same services. And the reason why it has so much bias involved in it, because if you actually know what does an auditor do, especially an internal auditor, external and internal auditors are very different. Auditors have access to a lot of private information in companies so that they can analyze where procedures are going wrong, where there might be some kind of corruption, where financial statements are not being written the way that they're meant to be written, downplayed or overplayed. So for you to try and bring someone like that, an auditor who is meant to check the safety, the risks of the business, that is just crazy. It is crazy when you think about it, and this is why I don't feel bad for them. I hope that it does end soon, but it just kind of like, what it is, Majid? It kind of tells you that like no one is invincible. Even if you're PwC, you're not invincible. If you're working with a big client like PIF and it's such a good CV resume ad, you need to understand that there's also a lot of responsibility that comes with that, I think.
Yep. The bigger you are, the harder you fall.
But I'm glad. But you know
That's
what?
it.
I think for me, Majid, with this, I like that PIF followed the ethical route.
Yeah.
We know that this is all alleged. They didn't actually come out and they confirmed this, but I like that they followed the ethical route of not involving themselves in such a shuffle.
Yep. Exactly. But yeah, again, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And sometimes they make very good stories which keep giving, and this story will keep giving. We are 100% sure in the next 2-3 weeks we'll see more. But yeah, moving on to another giant in the world, not only in the Middle East, but Elon Musk's AI startup, xAI, has raised over $10 billion every time he raises billions. When I look at our startups who are raising millions, I'm like, oh, they got so much money. And then you have OpenAI, xAI, Anthropic raising billions of dollars. And now the company is valued at $200 billion, making it one of the world's most valuable startups. Middle Eastern investors played a major role. We'll tell you all about it. And they included Qatar Investment Authority, QIA, and Saudi Crown Prince's Kingdom Holding Company.
And the funding comes as Musk raises to keep pace in a heated AI market competing with OpenAI, Alphabet, and Meta. Now, xAI has been spending aggressively on AI infrastructure in data centers, Bloomberg reported, with losses of roughly $1 billion per month, driven by these high operational costs.
And yeah, he'll run out of this 10 billion in 10 months. So he'll go back again and ask for money. But investors joining the round include Veller Capital alongside Middle Eastern sovereign and private funds. Sources said the financing confirms strong regional interest in AI innovation and signals confidence in, obviously, Elon Musk's strategy, even as the sector faces intense competition and enormous infrastructure demands across the globe.
Now, the new funding follows earlier moves by xAI, including high-profile talent hires and strategic investments in AI technology. Musk's push underscores the global race for artificial intelligence dominance, with Middle Eastern investors increasingly seeking exposure to emerging tech that could redefine industries worldwide.
And lastly, xAI's massive valuation, again, $200 billion, and Middle Eastern backing highlight the region's growing influence in global tech. Analysts say the investments demonstrate the strategic appetite of Gulf investors to participate in cutting-edge AI ventures, while Musk positions xAI as a major competitor in the rapidly evolving artificial intelligence landscape.
Look, I think with this story, like, you definitely don't have a builder AI tale.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to have someone who's going to take all,
Yeah.
a lot of your money, the same way that builder AI took a lot of money from Qatar Investment Authority, and then just like poof, quite
Yeah.
literally poofed up. And so I think with this story with Musk, I think it's the smartest bet that you can make right now. You know,
Yeah.
X is
Invest in the man, not in the company.
really no. I think it's a company.
Invest in the man. With Elon Musk, I think
This
for
is your
the
bias, Majid.
next at least 5 years till he's sane enough. Sorry for that, but till he's sane enough, I still think sometimes you invest in the man and sometimes you invest in the idea. This whole investment, everything that Elon Musk touches and whoever invests, they invest in the man. And you can see it in Tesla also. I'll give you a short summary of the trading of Tesla shares in the last 3 months. Tesla, remember, Trump tweeted, oh, we will kick him out and this and that and blah, when they had a whole feud going on X. Tesla share fell down to 200 and the minimum that I saw was 280 something per share, per share. So $280. For example, words, you bought it at $280. Just Google how much Tesla share is right now. In 3 months. Tesla share price, let's look at, the last I saw was on Friday when the market closed. Just Google Tesla share price and just know how much money would you have made. $426. So if you invested $100 in Tesla 3 months ago when Trump tweeted blah, 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 you would have made 180. Those $100 would be $180. Imagine, multiply it. $1,000, $1,800, $10,000. It would be 10,000 is what? $18,000. It's such a big jump. And all of this, why did the share price jump? They promised him a 1 trillion payout, Tesla. The board members don't want him to go because they know Tesla is not cars, Tesla is not electric vehicles, Tesla is not Optimus robots, Tesla is not this, that. It's Elon Musk. So it's just the man. In this case, whenever I see this story, anyone investing in OpenAI, Kingdom Holding, Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, he invests in the man. So if such a visionary,
No.
and he's one of my favorite
I
businessmen,
really don't agree with this.
if he invests...
Perhaps with Tesla. Your argument sounds sound with Tesla because it is fairly new, but I think with something like X, formerly Twitter, has been around for a while. I think that this choice was strategic from Walid bin Talal to become the second largest shareholder, Majid.
But
I
he
think it's
invested in
Musk.
Musk. He himself said it in the interview.
Yes,
that I invested in Musk, not in the company.
I still
So
don't
you
agree
can't
with it.
disagree with it.
I still don't agree with it. I think it's a company because look, Tesla, not really my cup of tea, but X, I really do
I'll tell
believe
you,
in.
if you look at it closely, X and xAI are not doing good. On paper, they would tell you, Elon Musk, if you tweet him right now and say, oh, they're not doing good, he'll be like, no, we're doing good. The CEO left, right? What was her name? Linda Yasserino. She left. X being merged into xAI. So now X itself is not a company. It's a subsidiary of xAI
It happened at the beginning of this year, I believe, $30 billion deal.
And why would this happen? Why would he take X and merge into an AI startup and not put xAI into X? If you look closely, it's a very simple deal that it's not doing good. Tesla itself, we talked about it so much when they were opening the center in Saudi Arabia. The biggest market after America is China. They've lost all their customers there. North America, they're losing customers, so their sales are down. But why is the share price up? Why did still people go and invest in xAI? Because they trust the man. they know this man can turn dust into gold.
You know what, Majid?
Yeah.
Even if it's true, I don't think anyone should do that.
Yeah, don't trust the man.
I really don't think businessmen are.
That is why I
friends.
said in the next 5
Honestly.
years, till he's sane enough.
Look, I thought about it, you know, maybe I'm biased because in my head I'm thinking,
Yeah.
look, if I were to invest in something, I'm going to go look at its value,
Yeah.
how well they've been doing, their track record, not really the personality, because I really do think like these businessmen, no matter how much we may glorify them, you know, glorify their hustle and, you know, the come up and,
Yeah.
you know, everyone loves to talk about it. They're not your friends.
Yeah, no one is.
They're
Business,
not,
no one is.
They're not your friends. You know, they're trying to get an added value for themselves, and that is something that I always really keep in mind. And you know, for me, while you may be right, Majid, I'll give it to you. I still don't think that you should invest.
It should be the case.
You shouldn't
right?
always invest in people because it's just like it's just so strange when you look at some people's
Generally.
profiles.
For example, if you give me $100,000 right now, or I get $100,000 and someone tells me to invest, I think Elon Musk is the only person where I'll do a personality investing. Everything else, I'll look at the financials.
Majid,
obviously,
I know you want to be best friends with him.
no,
I
no,
know.
it's not Elon Musk. It's just the things that he does and how he does them. There is kind of a genius there. I don't know if it's good genius or evil genius or whatever,
I can't
but
tell
there
if it's
is kind of
evil.
a genius wherever. Everyone has it's the same. Remember
I swear
the
I can't
interview?
tell. I can't tell with him. I really
the
can't
interview
tell.
that he did. The
Yeah.
question was if people are throwing away their Teslas, saying we don't support Elon Musk or we don't like Elon Musk, and his reply was no, but people are buying Teslas now also because they like Elon Musk. So it's in his matter, like with Mark Zuckerberg, with Jeff Bezos, the big guys. There's a very like gray area, a dark gray area. With Elon Musk, it's a very plain black and white situation. Some people who hate him to the extent. Do people who love him, I don't love him as a person. I love him because the market
All or
helps me
nothing.
a lot. They're like all or nothing, right? So that is what makes Elon Musk Elon Musk. People love Jeff Bezos, people hate Jeff Bezos, people love his product.
Yeah.
There's kind of like a gray area with every big billionaire.
You know
Mark
what?
Zuckerberg,
It's
everyone is like,
interesting.
he's interesting, he's not. It's confusing. With Musk, it's plain and simple.
I think
You hate him or
Majid,
you love him.
Honestly, like I feel like especially in the kind of region that we're in, we have seen this trend of like millionaires and billionaires absolutely flying, and
Yeah.
they have reputations that like are in the trenches. But
Yeah.
I think for the one about investing in the man, you made me think of one person specifically. I know that he might not be an AI, but Chris Fade, the really famous Virgin radio host. I think that people are investing in the man.
Yeah.
With that one, I really do think so.
Because
Yeah, I think Fade Fit is a
Yeah.
great company. Fade Fit with their
Even
their
Mr.
protein
Beast,
bars.
if you're
it's a
talking
great
about
product.
influencers, influencer side of things is very different because they become a person and then they launch a product. Mr. Beast was
Yes.
Mr. Beast, and then Feastables came, then everything that he has.
And I think
Yeah.
I really do think that with Chris Fade, like even if I don't like the protein balls, the protein whatever it
Bar
is,
and everything.
because of the fact that I follow him, I love how he treats his family. That kid Cruz, he's so adorable because I love the family dynamic. I love what he's doing.
Yeah.
I believe he's actually Lebanese Australian because I love the image that he's portrayed. Even if I'm not that much of a fan of Fade Fit, I'll be honest with you, I'll buy into it. And on that influencer point, this is something that I've been thinking about
Yeah.
over the weekend. Have
To
you
become
heard
an
of?
influencer?
No. I was going to say something. So if you look at Nareen Beauty, she's
yeah.
one of the most famous Syrian influencers. She kind of really she was one of the first Arabs to start out in the influencer world, and her sister Shireen have been developing a business. Her sister Shireen Beauty, and it's a story, I noted down, might come out with it soon, inshallah this week, guys. But Shireen Beauty, she went to Korea, Majid, and she took photos of her skin factory there. Yes,
Nice.
she's starting a skin company in Korea. And she was like, guys, like, I'm so excited. We're coming out with the products. I can't believe this is real. And like for me, I immediately, like, I saw that as a business venture, and kind of got me to this point of we're seeing that in the Arab world with a lot of these Arab influencers. The second, they hit the amount of followers that they need, they have that kind of engagement, they turn it into companies. They do with Fade Fit, Chris Fade. Now we're seeing Shireen Beauty. Also,
he's opening a restaurant also.
I know. I saw on his stories.
On
I
some
was
25
so
Jump
shocked.
Street, yeah.
I'm like, man, like that is so cool. Like
I think he's come to a point where he's realized that whatever he's doing, he's at a peak of his career. Everyone knows him, and he should make use of it as much as you can. So, Fate Fit is one example. Now, restaurant business, and now TriFit Australia, the whole thing. He is going into ventures now because he's like, now I need to create that empire that I've always dreamed of, and this is the best time because I'm at the peak. And I think that is the best point. Popularity-wise, money-wise also, you know that this is the amount I can expend. I have my savings for like 5 years. I've saved money for my kids' university. I own the house. I this, that. You basic budget plan, like 10 years, I'm safe with everything. And the remaining money, now I'll start investing. So I think he's at the perfect position. And yeah, all these people, I think, are at a prime position because the region is growing. So with the region growing, everyone is growing, everyone is getting money. And lastly, growing is very important, and UAE has recognized that. They've launched a very nice campaign. I read about it in the morning. It was launched yesterday, it was announced yesterday, but then I read about it. It's very interesting, and it's a national campaign, and it's a UAE campaign. A lot of people in the comments and some places where I was looking for this news thought this was a Dubai thing, but it's called the Emirates. It's the UAE national campaign, and it's the tagline is the startup capital of the world. So basically the campaign aims to boost the number of companies in the UAE to 2 million by 2031, starting now, right now. And right now, I think the numbers I saw is, I think they are at 1 million something of number of companies. So they want to make it 2 million. And the initiative especially targets Emiratis, encouraging them to start businesses in strategic sectors critical to the economy, including SMEs, small and medium enterprises, which already comprise 94% of the companies.
Now, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, UAE Vice President and ruler of Dubai, said the campaign brings together over 50 public and private entities. It will train 10,000 Emirati entrepreneurs, create thousands of economic opportunities, and raise awareness on how people can really leverage the UAE's current economic momentum to foster new businesses.
And SMEs form the backbone of the UAE economy, contributing 63% of non-oil GDP, which is very important because we are diversifying, and employs 86% of the private sector workforce. The government aims to attract Emirati SMEs in food, tourism, finance, space, and data analytics, supporting growth and strengthening the country's position as a global business hub.
Programs under the campaign include StartupEmirates.ae, providing mentorship, shared workspaces, networking, training, and cross-border partnerships. The platform aims to engage 10,000 entrepreneurs and create 30,000 jobs by 2030, positioning the UAE as a gateway for startups seeking global exposure.
And additional initiatives cover content creation, project management, and tax training alongside events like business expos. The government supports SMEs in international exhibitions, export opportunities, and even partial travel costs, reinforcing its commitment to empower Emirati entrepreneurs and establish the UAE as the world's leading startup destination.
And
it's
I think
very important.
It is very important, and that's a wrap for today, everyone. Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning into the Smashi Business Show. Make sure to follow us across all social media channels at Smashi Business and stay ahead with our daily newsletter. You'll find the subscription link in the description.
This has been a Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production, part of the Augustus Media Podcast Network. A big shout out to our more than 2 million monthly listeners across all platforms. You make this possible. If you're one of them, we appreciate you. Have a great, great, great day. We will see you tomorrow on Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.